Happy Valentine's Day. It's Squama, and this is Groovy Movies Episode 3, Romantic Movies. So I used to really love romantic movies when I was a teenager, but then when I got into my 20s, I got more into like action movies and comedies. I started to feel like romances were kind of boring. Like, they're sort of predictable. Like, there's either going to be a really happy or really sad ending, and there's going to be lots of affection. But I know that they have romantic comedies like the Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan and the Adam Sandlers and the Jennifer Aniston movies. Those are so adorable. I especially love like Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan, like Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail. I feel like they're pretty similar. Like it's like, oh, it was you all along, even though like Sleepless in Seattle, they don't meet till the end. And then in like You've Got Mail, they knew each other the whole time, but like they didn't know that their online personas were the actual person. I don't know. I just think those are so cute. I think they did a third romantic movie together, but I don't remember what it is. And then of course Meg Ryan, You've Got When Harry Met Sally. I love that one so much. And they're like, well, guys and girls can't be friends because, we're always gonna want more than that. And I was like, oh no. And then they keep meeting and just so classic. Meg Ryan, she is like the romantic comedy queen. The queen of like regular romances, I guess would argue, is Diane Lane. She's made so many romantic movies like Under the Tuscan Sun, A Walk on the Moon, and Must Love Dogs. Oh my goodness, those are all really great movies. They would joke that Diane Lane always cheats on her husband in her movies. So I'm like, maybe not every time, but she's really amazing. And then Penelope's another romantic comedy that's cute, where Christina Ricci, she's like, has this curse where she has a pig nose, and then she has to sort of like find true love in order to go back to normal. But then she realizes that, she could love herself instead of like having James McAvoy rescue her. Well, they end up together, but I thought that was a nice lesson of self-love instead of relying on a man for love. And then Adam Sandler, he's got 50 First Dates and Mr. Deeds. I mean, he does like a lot of comedies, so I guess you could say his romantic movies would also be comedies. He did some more serious movies like that Uncut Gems, that pretty new one that he did a few years back. And there was another one, Spanglish. I've only seen parts of that one. I didn't see Uncut Gems yet. But I really enjoy Adam Sandler movies. They make me laugh. Even though, like, he's not really the most, like, Oscar-worthy actor, but he wins in my heart. And another famous romantic comedy that I love is My Best Friend's Wedding. It's different, because, again, they don't end up together, but just, like, the journey of how she, like, gets there. I guess it's kind of like a self-love thing, too, and at least she does have a friend at the end of it. Yeah, I'm going to be spoiling a lot of romantic movies here. And I'm probably not going to get to all romantic movies because there are so many romantic movies to get to. And then there's also Serendipity, where they just happen to have like a lot in common. It's Kate Beckinsale and John Cusack. Again, John Cusack, he was Must Love Dogs. I think he does like a lot of romantic comedies. I used to think that he only did comedies, and then I saw him in like more serious movies, like 2012 and whatnot, and I was like, what? I just know you from like the awkward guy from 16 Candles, and now this. But yes, there's lots of surprises. But, besides the romantic comedies, sometimes I feel like watching more dramatic romantic movies like Titanic and Ghost, The Notebook, Romeo and Juliet, and, of course, Love Story. The famous quote from Love Story, which is a movie from, I think, 1970, starring Ally McGraw and Ryan O'Neal. It has the famous line, "Love means never having to say you're sorry." And I think it's kind of funny, because later Ryan O'Neal did a kind of comedy movie with Barbra Streisand. And then Barbra Streisand's like, "Love means never having to say you're sorry." And then Ryan O'Neal's like, "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard." Like, but yeah, that was from your movie. I guess it was like referencing Love Story, but at the same time kind of parodying it, maybe not taking it as seriously. I mean, it's a really sad story, but I don't know. Maybe it's like to also address, I guess, maybe some of the backlash that line might have caused. They'd be like, well, that doesn't make sense. But I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny. And also, whenever I was watching Titanic, I was watching it with my parents at home because they had the 2 VHS set. And then I think my brother was watching it too, or I don't know if he opted out because he doesn't like stuff like that. But anyway, So my dad is like, instead of like making out and just being silly, like they could have found something to float on and, and been like, okay, like they both would have had flotation devices if they found something to float with, before all this happened. I was like, oh my goodness, you're right. And then he's like, the other people, they had plenty of time to find something to float on. And I was like, oh my goodness, Titanic's ruined for me now. Like, it's all I'm going to keep thinking about when I watch it. It's like, why didn't they find something to float with? I mean, yeah, I guess it's like scary. And I wasn't there at Titanic, but oh my goodness. It's like, when you're watching a movie and then someone like points out something and then you just can't stop thinking about it. And I'm like, oh no. It's kind of like The Notebook, how it's always being like quoted. Like, oh my goodness. Like, I remember I loved quoting it. And like, what do you want? And, I'm a bird. If you're a bird, I'm a bird. And then first I didn't see The Notebook. And then I was wondering how come people like kept talking about it, and then I watched it, and oh my goodness, it hit me right in the feels. Nicholas Sparks, he's really known for his romantic movies and books, like A Walk to Remember, Message in a Bottle, and Safe Haven. Those really pull at the heartstrings. I'll admit I enjoy Nicholas Sparks every now and then. And then there was also Ghost, which has that pottery scene that is, it's really hot. I don't know if you've ever seen Ghost, but I highly recommend it. It's really sweet and like super sad because they're like a perfect couple. They have a perfect life, and all of a sudden he's dead. And like, no, Sam, come back. And Whoopi Goldberg is hilarious in it, and it's one of my favorites. And of course, Righteous Brothers, Unchained Melody, such a beautiful, beautiful song. And then they have anthology love movies, like Love Actually. As I was saying, it's kind of like, Pulp Fiction for girls in an earlier podcast, because it's like a whole collection of stories that they're like interconnected, and then later you'd be like, oh, that's how that story connects to this story. And like, Marcellus Wallace knows everybody, and it's like, okay, that's how they all know Hugh Grant. It's like somehow they're all connected to the Prime Minister. There's also Valentine's Day, which I actually haven't seen all the way through. Yeah, I know. Talking about romantic movies, I haven't even seen Valentine's Day. I saw part of it. I thought it was cute. Maybe I'll actually sit through the whole thing. But yeah. And then, romantic movies. Disney princess movies. Like, she ends up with Prince Charming, The True Love's Kiss, Happily Ever After. You got Cinderella, Little Mermaid, Enchanted, which is one of my favorite movies ever. It's so adorable, and I love the songs. And I love how it's kind of like, with Love Story earlier. So that movie that was making fun of Love Story is called What's Up, Doc? Like, I don't know, I feel like Enchanted's kind of like What's Up, Doc, how it's parodying Love Story. Enchanted's kind of parodying all the tropes you find in Disney princess love stories. And one day in my children's literature class, we were talking about how, in a recent, well, it was recent then, like Moana, this Disney movie where she doesn't need a man, Like, Maui is not, like, her romantic interest. She's, like, takes charge all on her own. And we were, like, juxtaposing that with, like, Frozen, where how Anna's like, I really want a man. And, Elsa, she doesn't really need a man. She's the Ice Queen. And, like, some of these, Grimm fairy tales and Hans Christian Andersen stories, these Disney stories adapted, like, the original stories were super dark. Like, the original Ice Queen, you have, like, eyes getting gouged out, and it's, like, kind of gory, but, Disney made it kid-friendly, and it's, like, Elsa and Anna, and, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird how it's, like, PG-rated, because I remembered when I was a kid, my dad's like, hey, let's watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I was like, okay, it's rated PG, how bad could it be? And then I watch it, and you have guys getting killed by, like, darts and faces melting off, and I was like, no, why is this PG? And I found out that the reason why some PG movies from, like, the 80s were more intense is because, like, PG-13 wasn't invented till, like, the mid-1980s. Like, they were arguing whether the first PG-13 rated movie might have been Raiders of the Lost Ark or Gremlins. Gremlins also scared me when I was a kid. I still haven't been able to sit through all of Gremlins. Like, I tried, but I'm like, I don't know. It's like, oh, I feel like watching something else. But yes. And then, so, let me see. Oh, I almost forgot about the holiday. That's a cute movie. Or like Kate Winslet and Cameron Diaz swap lives. Kate Winslet again. Oh, it's her romantic movies. Oh, and I also love Simon. It's kind of like, exploring that realm of like internet dating, like could it really work? And I don't know, I kind of relate to this because like some of my internet friends, I'm kind of like that. I think his name was Kip from that episode of South Park. Whenever he doesn't have any Facebook friends, and he finally makes a Facebook friend, and Kyle Borfowski, and then he like eagerly awaits his messages, and like he actually feels like the real friend. And like, after the pandemic and people are like working from home and staying at home, they're really talking about how, internet friends are a way to help you get through it. Like, yeah, you're going to miss some of the important parts that you might have in real life connection, but you could also, like, they'll always be like available to you, whereas like, in real life friends, they might, be like busy with something else, but you can like send your internet friends a message and they might get back to you later. And then I don't know, it's like I've read like lots of articles like how they're kind of comparing like in real life friends, internet friends, the pros and cons of both. Like how it's kind of easier to find like friends who have your same romantic interests. Ugh, romantic interests. I mean like, romances or dating or friendship. Well, like finding it online, like you might be able to find people who have the same interests as you more easily on the internet than you would in real life, that they just happen to have the same interests as you. But yeah, Love Simon's got me all rambling about internet friends and internet dating. It's kind of a touchy subject. People have different opinions on it, but I think as long as you find a connection and it like, you'll be there for each other and find like the good qualities of an in real life friendship, it's like, why not, but you got to be careful online because not everyone's who they say they are, and you've got catfishing. But anyways, like the whole like online interaction reminded me of P.S. I Love You. Oh, like how Gerard Butler writes Hilary Swank like letters from beyond the grave. Like he wrote a whole bunch of letters for her, and it really hurt. Like when I first watched it, I was like, why did he die already? And then I found out the premise of it. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And then, like talk about like letter narrations, letters to yourself, like Bridget Jones's Diary. I really love like Diary of a Wimpy Kid and like Bridget Jones's Diary, stuff like that. But that like fire policy. But yeah, those are some of the romantic movies that I'm sort of rambling about today. There's like a whole lot out there. I might make a romantic movies part 2, like how I might make a kids movies part 2, because I can't believe I forgot to talk about Madagascar. But thank you for listening. I hope you have a lovely Valentine's Day, whether you're single or with someone. Some of the lessons from these movies, it's like you can love yourself, you can love your friends. You don't need to have a romantic partner to feel like love and happiness, but I don't know. Thank you guys. Have a great Valentine's Day. Bye.